Welcome back to the Big Law Business Report, where big law meets big business. In the studio I have with me today, Darrell Mottley, intellectual property attorney. Darrell, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me here.
So we're going to talk about the Internet of Things. This is a term that seems to be going around. It's very popular. So I know what the Internet is.
Right.
I think I do. I kind of know what things are. I think I do. So what are the Internet of Things, Darrell? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it is a popular term going on now. It's sort of this idea of this seamless web of devices. It has no national or geographic boundaries. So it's
Right.
these sensors and systems that have these automated type of devices that kind of check things and see things. So, for example, your connected car may have Internet of Things kind of technology, home automation with your Nest computer systems and
Right.
thermostats, and it could go to your wearable devices,
Gotcha.
all kinds of sensors.
So when you talk about a connected car, is that where the car connects with my phone? So we've got Bluetooth capability. So instead of having a Bluetooth device in my ear or earbuds, I'm actually speaking through my car. Is that an example of the Internet of Things and connectivity?
Part of that, but it's actually where the car actually is a computer system. It has all these sensors in the engine.
Right,
You can turn your car off through your cell phone.
Right.
You can look inside of it and you can see your reports, and self-driving, the Uber, sit in the car and it takes you where you want to go for
Right.
navigation.
Right, exactly.
So-
I think I'm going to pass on that one. All right. I still like the frailties of human beings, because frail humans are programmed in these cars. So, but yes, I still like the frailty of human beings. So in that particular instance, then, so where does the Internet of Things fit in to the connected car scenario?
Well, it's technology innovation. So
Right.
you're dealing with potential patents that deal with how the communications work with the car, works with the internet and communication devices, how somebody might want to control the car with their cell phone, turning on
Right.
and off.
Sure.
Seeing-
Locking doors, unlocking doors.
Exactly, and seeing like what the engine performance is doing. If you look at Tesla, Tesla has basically their engine. It's internet. There's no engine in it, right? It's all computerized systems.
Right.
So that kind of aspect of navigation
Gotcha.
aspects still.
Gotcha. Now you touched on wearables and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So tell me a little bit about the Internet of Things and around wearables, and where does someone like you with your background, obviously you got an engineering background,
Sure.
and clearly you're an intellectual property attorney, where do you fit in with, say, a wearables manufacturer in the Internet of Things?
Sure. Good question. In wearables, it's very interesting because it has consumer use, digital displays,
Right.
also communicates back and forth. So there's different segments of technology and consumer interaction that can be done to protect. There's also regulatory aspects as well. So on the display issues, the Internet of Things actually for the consumer would be a design patents potentially would protect the way how the display looks, sort of the human graphical user interface aspect, sort of ornamental aspects. The also aspects is how it operates is sort of this utility patent aspect. So how it calculates the data or new kind of screen displays the data comes out, how it communicates with the internet or how it communicates with the cell phone,
Gotcha.
software aspects there. In a sense, with Internet of Things, one thing what people said, if you look at the Terminator series, it's sort of the
Right.
Skynet. The computer becomes controls everything.
For sure.
So
Absolutely.
we try to prevent that. No, I'm
Right,
just saying.
exactly. How's that coming along, by the way, preventing the computers from controlling everything?
So we're good. So we're good. So,
Right.
but where I come in is to try to assist those companies that are innovating that to help protect that display, help protect the utility, how it operates, any aspects that way. Also, there's copyright protection because of software. There's even trademarks because the logos potentially could be
Sure.
on the displays as well.
Sure.
So on the wearables.
Gotcha. So where do you get involved in that process? Do you get involved after they designed it and created it, and they want to take it to market? Do you try to get involved with them if they say, okay, I've got this great idea for a wearable device, whereas the wearable device will allow me to be able to control a multitude of different things. So where
Yeah.
do you get involved in the process with helping a company?
So depending on the stage of the company and where they are, and probably they call me in, I like
Sure.
to get as early as possible
Sure.
to provide sort of the guidance and potentially, because it's an innovative area and lots of folks are getting involved, there's potential patents that could block their launch of the product, which you want to avoid. So early on, we can work with the companies. If they have a concept, we can say, okay, if you're going to go in this technology area, we can look at various patents and look at this called white space, open space, that where you can go in and avoid issues of patents that may block their technology base. So if you get early on, you can kind of help that investment process. It's more of a guidance for the business folks to figure out where they can, you don't want to invest lots of money into something and find out after you finish it that there's something that's going to stop them, or pay somebody a license fee where you don't have to pay. You know?
No, exactly. So with companies, I know we've talked about, startups and companies that are,
Right.
Have been doing business for a while, maybe looking to raise some additional capital, and companies that are well established.
Right.
Let's just take an example. A company has been doing business for a while. It's organically grown. The
Sure.
owner started with the lent in their pocket, and now they've got to the point where, hey, they need to go out. They're getting to the point where they need to go out and raise $50 to $100 to $250 million. Where would you come in to talk to a company like that? And more than anything else, how would you potentially advise that company? Because clearly, I'm excited, right? Finally, I'm going to be able to, stop doing this out of the basement of my house.
Exactly.
Right? I can
Right.
actually start eating real food now, that sort of thing. Occasionally
Right.
even go out to dinner. So
Yeah.
where do you advise a company like that and saying, okay, these guys are going to give you, guys and gals, are going to give you $100 million?
Well, I could tell you similar situation that it's sort of a mid-stage company, early mid-stage company. So they probably have a portfolio, and a small one, or maybe they're starting one up. So typically, when they're going to raise those kinds of funds, they need to be able to go back to the investors and say that there's no patent situations out there that could affect them. So we'll go and kind of go in and say, okay, now you have your product. We're going to do a clearance study, if you will. We're going to clear this technology to make sure that there's no issue. For them. And if there are patents out there potentially that may affect them, potentially we may figure out a way to say there's no infringement issues, or we may say, look, you might be able to potentially do a procedure in a patent office, patent trial, and knock these patents out of depends on the
Gotcha.
raise.
Gotcha.
We had situations where at a client, $10 million raise, and eventually they're raised $350 million. Based
Wow, that's a
upon
nice day.
clients. It is.
That's a nice
good
day.
for the clients. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Because
Absolutely.
in strength of the portfolio, technology, their portfolio, the geographic portfolio, but also the fact that we didn't find any issues out there that could affect the investment, because it's
Gotcha.
more of a due diligence aspect too.
Got you. Well, Darrell, that's unbelievably fascinating. As I always like to say, I'm not asking you to come back. I'm almost telling you to come back, because you have so much great information to share with our audience, and I do look forward to having you back on the show. Darrell, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Glad to be here.
We'll be right back.